Hey everyone, what's up? This is JoeySuki back at the Artist Coaching Podcast. I think it's been a while, I think it's been like a week, so I thought it was a great idea to give you guys a small update on what I've been working on lately, and I'm here to give you the answers to the Q&A that I did in the Artist Coaching community group, in the Facebook group as well. So today is a combination of an update on the things that I've been working on actually, and the answers to your questions. Sorry. So I'm just waking up. It's Tuesday morning here, and just waking up with a nice coffee in the new studio. How are you doing? How's your day so far? And do you feel energized for the rest of the week? To me, I actually noticed that, triggering yourself to stay motivated and to stay energized, to be ready to take that next step in your life or in your career, it's hard, it's hard to be motivated every day or every hour of the day. And of course, it's not possible to be motivated every hour of the day, but I've been working on myself in the last few years to actually how to train myself to be motivated as much as possible and to have as much energy as possible to work on the things I want to work and to get to the goals where I want to go. And I must say, I'm getting better at it every day, but it's still hard, and it's probably recognizable. Like, I'm guessing you felt the same way I've been feeling, sometimes as well. So you just got into the studio, you just don't really have the inspiration or the energy to start creating something else. So what do you do with those kind of moments? And I guess this relates back to one of the questions that Eric Vega asked me in the Artist Coaching community group. He asked me, what do you do when you run out of creativity, or when you don't know, he actually said without much desire. So I think when you don't have the motivation or the passion and you have a lack of creativity. So what's the thing you do? And in my opinion, you can do two things. You can split it up in two things at least. One of them is you leave the studio and you just go out and go to a different place and try to get inspired by something that works for you. Because I really believe this is a personal thing. Everyone gets triggered by different things, and you should just figure out what works for you. For me, going out of the studio worked sometimes, but most of the time, I just started procrastinating because of that, because I got distracted, because I didn't think about making music, because I didn't feel about it. So when I left the studio, it was hard for me to come back. So leaving the studio wasn't my perfect option. My perfect option was to dive into your production process. So not leaving the studio, which is your second option, and dive into your production process. And what does that mean? As a producer, you've trained yourself into developing some processes in your system, like your production process. Like, you do a few things, the same things all over again. And it's really hard to recognize about those moments, but it's really important to reflect on the things that you actually do, because sometimes you just get onto that autopilot and you forget why you actually do those things, or maybe it could go quicker or whatever. And this, if you run out of creativity and if you don't have that much inspiration, that's a perfect moment for you to reflect on your production process. So what could you do? Try to change your patterns, because sometimes you just get stuck because you do the same thing all over again, like day in, day out. You start every track, you start the same way, you use the same plugins, you use the same presets. So change your patterns. Have a look at how you normally work and try to approach it from a different angle. Maybe you could start with a different template. Maybe you could use a different plugin for a different synth, or maybe if you create your kick with a plugin, maybe now you can try to create a kick by layering audio files. It's all about changing those patterns and try to see and recognize those patterns. So that could be a great thing. Aside from that is, renewing some sample packs. So, well, looking for some new sounds out there, plugins, sound banks, all those things that could get you inspired, because that really worked for me. Because when I started digging into those sample packs, and I heard a certain sound that I really liked, that could be the trigger for me to actually get back to music production again, because one idea led to another, and that one led to another one, and before you know, you have a whole track finished. So, changing your patterns and renewing all the sample packs, the plugins, or adding some new ones to it at least. So, that's one of the things that Eric Vega came back to me on, and yeah, like I said, it relates back to me right now because, well, it resonated with me right now because, well, like I said, I've been working on being motivated as much as possible and being energized as much as possible. And when I'm working, I want to work productively. So I don't want to sit in the studio or in the office staring at my screen and waiting until I've refreshed Facebook 100 times. As soon as I notice that I'm starting to do those things, I just leave, or I think of something else to do, which is productive. So I think that's the reason why that question resonated with me, and I hope this answer was valuable to you, Eric. Another one that came in was from Yoshi Jacques. If you make an unofficial remix or bootleg, is it necessary to master it if you're going to put it out online for free? Yeah, it is. And, well, there are no rules, so officially there isn't. But in my opinion, it is, because it's just another track. And you as a producer want to represent the sound that you bring out to the world, which in my opinion is the sound in the best way possible. So I would definitely master it, because other DJs are going to play it and you don't want to put out an unmastered song, because you're going to notice it in live mixes. It's just going to dip in volume, it's going to dip in power, and that's the opposite of what you're looking for. So yes, master your remixes and bootlegs as well. And heading on the bootlegs, Jess Lucio also asked me something. How do you market a bootleg as you don't have the copyrights? How is it seen in the eyes of the original artist? Should one do it and then contact the artist or label to try to push it, or don't even worry about that stuff? Well, depends on if we're talking about remixes or bootlegs, because remixes are official, and in that matter you have to get an approval from the original artist. But when we're talking about a bootleg, we're talking about an unofficial remix, and that's just something you can use for your sets, to expand your sets, or to give it away as a free download. The thing is, you can't earn money on a bootleg. And in my opinion, if you create a bootleg, you could reach out to the original artist just out of courtesy, and you can ask the original artist. But as long as it's a bootleg, you don't make any money on it, why worry that much? I can give you a small anecdote, story from my side on this, because I've created a bootleg, a lot of bootlegs actually, but I've created one from Samba, from Junior Jack, the big summer hit. And I actually reached out to the original artist and, to the label actually, and asked them like, hey, would you maybe be open to release this one as an official remix? Because I really liked it. Mark Knight was playing it. Chester was playing it. I thought it could be a cool release. At that moment, they weren't interested in that track. So I released it for free. It got downloaded a lot of times, got a lot of support. Then 2 years later, I got an email from the label asking me if they could release it as an official remix, because they were going to put out this remix EP, and they think my remix was a perfect fit for it. So I notified them and said like, yeah, sure, but it's already downloaded a lot of times. But they didn't matter. They still put it out, and it actually ended up in the Beatport charts 2 years after I released my bootleg. So that's also a way of how things can go. And regarding your question, like how do you market a bootleg? I think you market it the same way as you do an original track. You just create a plan out of it. You create a social media plan with it, and make sure it gets into the market in a creative and outstanding way. So Am I missing any questions? No, I think these were the ones in the artist coaching community. If you're a producer or DJ out there and you still aren't a member of this group, we have reached 800 people in the group right now, which are all DJs and producers or people from the music industry. So if you want to work in a network or just learn something and be active in the industry, make sure to become a member, request access, and I will add you. It's called the Artist Coaching Community Group. And as far to give you guys an update, this week, every day at 5 CET, so Central Eastern European Time, a new episode of my online masterclass will drop on YouTube and on Facebook. So it's a masterclass about my thoughts on music production. We have a deep dive into the project of Life is Calling. We have a deep dive into my production process. So that's the thing I've been talking about in the beginning of this podcast, like all the patterns that I've created for myself, which worked and which didn't, and a lot of insights in my mind about how I think about music production, and could be valuable to you. It's on, like I said, the first 2 episodes are online right now. The 3rd will drop today, and it's going on until Sunday. So if you're interested, have a look on those channels, YouTube and Facebook /artist coaching, and a new episode will drop every day for a week long. So curious to hear your opinion on it. If you like it or if you don't, let me know. And on the other hand, I'm working on setting up a 6-month training, a mastermind training. So maybe that's interesting to you. It's going to be in a group session, so not personal coaching, but just group sessions. And it's going to be training. So we're going to take on several subjects that I think are the fundamentals of an artist career, and we're going to tune it in the best way possible for you. So it's a 6-month training course, and it's called the Mastermind Training, but I've been working on it right now. It's probably going to launch within the beginning of next year. So that's it for now. Thanks, guys, so much for listening to the podcast. I really like to do this, and I try to upload as much episodes as possible. So if you guys have an opinion or have feedback on this, just let me know. You can always reach out to me on my social media channels, /JoeySuki, @JoeySuki, or @Artist Coaching. And have a great week, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.